Hello, Woodbridge. Thank you for checking out the fourth and final episode of our four-part series on our town budget. In case you missed the first three videos, my name is Scott Prudhomme. I am a 13-year resident of Woodbridge, a member of the Board of Finance, and treasurer of A Common Ground for Woodbridge. In our first episode, we explained how our tax bill is calculated and the budget process. Then, we took a look at a 10-year history of Woodbridge's budget, spending, and taxes. In part three, we explored how our choices have led us to where we are today and how these choices are shaping the future of your taxes in Woodbridge. Today, we're going to focus on the choices in front of our community and the actions we can take to help shape Woodbridge in the years ahead. As we discussed in episode 3, the fiscal 27 budget recommendation you will see at Monday's budget meeting calls for a modest increase in town expenditures of about 1.9%, about 1.4% for government, Beecher increasing less than 3%, and Amity up only 1.7%. The non-tax revenues, however, are going to decrease by 23.5%. As we discussed in episode 3, this is driven by the loss of Woodbridge's motor vehicle tax rebate from the state. This was due to our decision to lower the mill rate following last year's revaluation. As a result of the revenue loss, our taxes will need to increase over 4% next year, and the mill rate going to 34.02. The bigger story, however, is not the fiscal 2027 budget. It's what's next. As we covered last time, our historic focus on controlling mill rate increases are now entering a period where deferred capital maintenance and capital projects are turning into long-term debt. This is the updated Budget Mountain slide shared at the budget hearing on April 28th. When looking at our go-forward borrowing plan to support many significant capital projects, including a new Beecher Road School, center building renovation, past Beecher renovations, the country club payoff, replacing roofs, HVAC units, paving roads, all these things, this will result in unprecedented borrowing that will affect Woodbridge taxpayers for the next 2 decades. Importantly, this graph does not include the anticipated capital projects at Amity, for which Woodbridge would own over a third of the cost. So the question is, are we comfortable with absorbing this debt service, or do we want to set some clear financial guardrails today before we lock all this debt in? So we'll go a little deeper. Here's the breakout of the planned debt from the fiscal 26 adopted budget. So it's going to be very similar, even a little higher for fiscal 27. And again, these figures do not include Amity. Compared to this year's budget, Woodbridge's debt will balloon to 6 times its current level just 4 years from now. And nearly a decade from now, the debt will still be 4 times where we are today. This does not account for any new debt service that will inevitably arise over this time. So this is where a debt policy will become critically important. Since 2021, Woodbridge debt service has generally been in the manageable range of about 4 to 8% of the town's budget. Guidance typically suggests debt service should be less than 10%. Without a debt policy, our debt service will increase to over 12% 5 years from today. So we're currently at about 4. It's going to around 12%. When Amity and other new capital projects are included, this figure is going to be well in excess of 10% for years for the foreseeable future. Throughout the series, we have used 2 example families, the Woods and the Bridges. Now, the Woods represent a family that bought a more moderately priced home and then saw a large increase after revaluation. Their taxes went up $5,000 in 1 year as a result of that revaluation. The Bridges represent a longtime family in a higher priced home that saw a tax decrease after revaluation. The point is not that one family did something right, another did something wrong. The point is that the revaluation changed who pays what. And when we add new debt on top of that new tax distribution, the impact is not abstract. It lands on actual households. So if debt service exceeds $8 million, the impact could be significant. For the Woods, debt service alone could add more than $2,000 per year to their tax bill. By 2032, their taxes could rise another 28%, reaching more than $24,000 a year. For the bridges, the annual impact could be more than $3,000. This is why the conversation cannot simply be, do we support schools, roads, public safety, open space, and town services? Of course we all do. The real question is, how do we pay for those priorities in a way that keeps Woodbridge affordable and keep it sustainable? Now I'm going to turn it over to Rob Rosasco, chairman of A Common Ground, to discuss a path forward for Woodbridge.
Thank you, Scott. The reason we created this series is not to critique, but rather to educate and promote new ideas. This purpose goes hand in hand with helping residents understand the choices in front of us. At A Common Ground, our vision is straightforward. We want affordability through stable and predictable taxes. We want to address key infrastructure needs. We cannot ignore roofs, roads, HVAC systems, school buildings, public safety facilities, or environmental issues. And we want to maintain the quality of life that makes Woodbridge special. Excellent schools, open space, and our small town feel. These goals are not in conflict, but they do require discipline. They require planning, and they require honest conversations before we launch into them. The choice is not between investing in Woodbridge and protecting taxpayers. The choice is whether we invest with a plan or whether we keep reacting after costs have already become unavoidable. So what are the options? First, we need to look seriously at the cost and structure of town services. That does not mean cutting blindly. It means asking whether there are better ways to deliver services, share resources, modernize operations, and/or reduce duplication. Second, we need to grow the grand list. Residential development may have a role, but we need to understand the marginal cost first. New housing can add revenue. However, it can add service costs. We need to know the net impact before making decisions. Third, we need a clearer vision for commercial development. Woodbridge does not need to become a city, but if our commercial base continues to shrink as a share of the grand list, homeowners will continue to carry more and more of the burden. Fourth, we need to prioritize and phase capital projects. Not every project can be treated as equally urgent, and not every project should be bonded, and not every project should be bonded on the same timeline. Finally, we need to be honest about the default option. We can simply pay the bill. But if that is the choice, residents deserve to know what it means before the debt is approved and not after. So what can we do today? Here's A Common Ground's Fair Taxes Action Plan. You can see elements of some of our proposals are being done in isolation or in part by current town leadership, which is admirable. However, we believe we need a stronger, longer term, and more holistic vision. So here we are. First, we need to establish responsible debt limits. Woodbridge should adopt clear guardrails for how much debt service is acceptable and when additional borrowing should require broader public review. Second, we should benchmark ourselves against other Connecticut municipalities with respect to our spend. We should understand where we are. Are we above, below, or in line? Third, we should explore alternate structures to develop town services. That means asking whether there are opportunities for other ways to have what we get done in town. Can we share services with our neighbors? Can we share service with other municipalities that are similar to us? Is there outsourcing that can be done? Can we reorganize ourselves? Or is there simply technology that can help us deliver cost savings as opposed to increasing costs? Fourth, we should understand the marginal cost of residential growth. Before we assume housing will solve the tax problem, we need to know the likely impact on schools, roads, public safety, and other town services. Fifth, we need to refine the business district vision. Ample plans and great plans have been made in the past, but nothing charters the path forward. There is no concrete plan of when residential tax growth can be bellied by commercial growth. We need to figure that out. Last but not least, we need to engage residents directly through the budget process, including a serious conversation about whether residents should have a greater voice through referendum. This is what we believe our key message is. Woodbridge's future is not predetermined. Taxes and debt and growth are the result of choices. Affordability is resultant of those choices. We believe we can protect our schools, preserve our open space, maintain our small town feel, and make Woodbridge more affordable, but only if we start making different choices now. So before I hand back to Scott, I want to let everybody know, if you don't already, that the annual town meeting is coming up this Monday night. That's May 18th, 7:30 p.m., and it's in the Center Building gym this year. Thank you very much, and back to you, Scott.
All right. Thank you, Rob. And thank you, Woodbridge. I appreciate you taking the time to watch our 4-part series on our town budget. We really invite you to stay connected with the Common Ground. You can sign up for Common Ground emails. You can visit our website by scanning the QR code or visiting our website at commongroundwoodbridge.com. Send us an email if you want to get involved. If you have questions or concerns, email address is forwoodbridge@gmail.com. And we look forward to meeting you out later this year with more updates on the town as we continue our focus on smart growth, fair taxes, and open doors. Thanks again.